Right. Jalananda Bhagavatam Kunjabi Jayarajava Kunjabi Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivarada Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivarada Yashodandana Radhajana Rajama Yashodandana Ramakira Manamchala Vikamatira Ramashala Jayana Manamchala Jamiha Yamunatira Vancha Sayarada Madhaka Indramika Punjabi Manasana Jamaica, Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate 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 Vasudevaya. Agreed. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 3, Text 25, which is the last text in this chapter. Abha Videshangamano Nukulam Atha Videshangamano Nukulam Prabhashase Bhagavatam Pradanaha Prabhashase Bhagavatam Prabhashase Bhagavatam Pradanaha Prabhashase Bhagavatam Yada Hamaya Sakiratma Vidya Yada Habaya Sakiratma Vidya Visharado Nripatim Sadhu Prishtaha Visharado Nripatim Sadhu Prishtaha Visharado Nripatim Sadhu Prishtaha Visharado Nripatim Sadhu Prishtaha Atha Bhidhe Shanga Manonukulam Prabhashase Bhagavatam Pradanaha Prabhashase Bhagavatam Yada Hamaya Sakiratma Vidya Visharado Nripatim Sadhu Prishtaha Visharado Nripatim Sadhu Prishtaha Athavidehyangamanukulam Prabhashase Bhagavata Pradana Yada Havaya Sakiratma Vidya Sharado Nirpati Sami Krishna Adhavidehyangamanonukulam Prabhashase Bhagavata Pradana Yadahavaya Sakiratma Vidya Antam Therefore Abidehi Please explain Anga O Sutta Goswami Manaham Mind Anukulam Favorable to our mentality Pradashase You do speak Bhagavatam the great devotee Pradanaha the chief Yadaha what he spoke Vayasakihi Shukadeva Goswami Atmavidya transcendental knowledge Visharadaha expert Nripatim unto the king Sadhu very good Trishtaha being asked what's the etymology of Vayasaki? Can you check? Yes. Why is Shukadeva Goswami called Vayasaki? Translation. O Sutta Goswami, your words are pleasing to our minds. Please therefore explain this to us as it was spoken by the great devotee Shukadeva Goswami, who is very expert in transcendental knowledge, and who spoke to Maharaj Parikshit upon being asked.
Yes, Vyasaki is the son of Vyasa. In Hindu scriptures, it specifically refers to Shukadeva Goswami, the legendary sage and narrator of Srimad Bhagavatam.
That we know, but what's the etymology of the word? Knowledge explained by the previous Acharya like Shukadeva Goswami and being followed by the next like Sutta Goswami is always powerful, transcendental knowledge, and it is therefore penetrating and useful to all submissive students. Thus, in the Bhaktivedanta purport on the second canto, third chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Pure Devotional Service, the change in the heart. Yes?
It says the word Vyasaki is a patronymic noun built using grammatical rules from Anani's Ask the ID. Does that help? No.
No.
Sorry.
Look. Oh, it comes from Vyasa. It comes from Vyasa. Like, for example, Vinata is the mother of Garuda. That's why Garuda is called Vainateya. So it's kind of it changes the form. But Vinata changes the form when it refers to, let's say, a son or somebody who is belongs to a certain family, like Kunti Kaunteya.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it comes from Vyasa. Hare Krishna. Welcome, Bhagavatam.
Hare Krishna.
This is very interesting verse. I was always, I read his purport quite a few times. It says that transcendental knowledge coming from Shukadeva Goswami and then it's followed by the Sutta Goswami is always powerful, it's penetrating, and it's useful. Three things. I find this very interesting. And we can see how advanced devotees, when they present Krishna consciousness, they experience these three things. It's powerful, it's penetrating, all kinds of layers in our consciousness, and it just kind of brings us back to, proper state of consciousness.
And useful.
And it's useful. Then you understand. Oh my God! Most Hindus, and we discussed this recently, and even devotees, they think Bhagavad Gita is not so practical book. And some people even say that. But that's why great devotees and realized souls, when they recite, explain, discuss all these wonderful scriptures, then people think, oh, really? I didn't know that was in Bhagavad Gita, because they don't read. And that in this way, their faith in Bhagavad Gita becomes regained. And they, oh, it's very interesting. This man gave such an interesting class on Bhagavad Gita, even on like basic verses like Dehinasmin Yata Dehe and some other. Then it becomes like unpacked and it becomes full of meaning, and it's yeah. So we need both. That's why scriptures they are always accompanied by devotees like Bhakta and the book Bhagavatam. So these are Bhakta Bhagavatam and the book Bhagavatam. They go together. Uh, Otherwise, just getting the text, we cannot really. I noticed, especially in Berkeley, I noticed, students are a little bit more I must say knowledgeable to kind of contact like common people. They know much more. A lot of people know about Bhagavad Gita and they were exposed to it, and some of them even, they know difference between uh, Advaita and Dvaitavad. They took some courses. But then they would ask, so what is this Bhagavad Gita? Why is it so big? Bhagavad Gita is not so big. All these are commentaries. And then they said, now I would like to get the original text. Well, you have original, it's translated. It's bold text in the Bhagavad Gita. It's straight translation of the verses. But they want, they don't want interpretations. Although, when they hear from in school, everything is interpretation. So the question is, what is proper interpretation and improper? How do you get proper interpretation? And basically, Krishna in Bhagavad Gita explains, Evam parampara praptam, imam raja shayo viduhu. That's how you get it. You get it from bona fide disciplic succession. Somebody has to interpret it for us. Somebody has to explain it. And we need to assimilate that. Yeah, and also by writing different commentaries on scriptures, bona fide acharyas, bona fide spiritual masters of the past, they have protected the original text. In this way, they protect the original text on which they are commenting, because it's kind of used. If something is not used, then, throughout the centuries or millenniums, it's not discussed about, then it becomes like you don't even know, is this, how old is this?
What is it called? Watered down.
You can call watered down, but even if you have original text, then interpretation was not transmitted throughout the history, so you don't know what to do with it. That's why Jiva Goswami, he really made great contribution, especially to our sampradaya, by writing Shat Sandarbhas, especially Tattva Sandarbha, which is the first one. He explains that how the meaning is protected by writing commentaries. Otherwise, if people just get the so-called original, are you really going to get the message? And so in this way, the meaning as well as the proper spelling or proper writing of original text is also present. And especially nowadays in Kali Yuga, we know that everything kind of gets watered down, gets kind of diverted. These references are essential because they give us some proof that it has been used throughout history, millenniums, and different acharyas have been commenting on it. Sridhar Swami, Vishwanath Chakravarti, Baladev Nikelushan, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta, Srila Prabhupada, and many others too. Otherwise, attitude that we are going to somehow enter into the meaning of this text and just make our own version of it. It's very. I remember recently I read this book by Devamita Swami, Searching for Vedic Hindi, and he was mentioning how even in Bible it's mentioned that some people like Abraham and all those old, Noah and all those ancient characters, they were living like 700 years, 500, 300. So it's interesting how modern scholars, they kind of dismiss these numbers as mythology, but they also, at the same time, they use Bible for historical references, or how the society was arranged. Romans were there. There was a government, So they are very selective. That they take things which kind of match their own ideas and dismiss everything that's kind of okay. This mythology, nobody lived 700 years, but we can see in our scriptures also, especially in Dwapara Yuga, average life was 1,000 years. That's inconceivable for modern people. But does it mean it doesn't exist? So many things are inconceivable. And they still exist. They shouldn't be there. Also, these Egyptian pyramids and pyramids in South America, they have stone slabs that are 50 or 100 tons big. So how do you lift that?
Yeah, they say it was just the Jews building the pyramids.
Right. They say it's just the Jews building the pyramids. Because the Jews were enslaved by the Egyptians in the Bible. And they were the ones.
These were in Mexico.
Yeah, but how do you do that? What is the technology?
Even the Jews, how are they going to do it?
Yeah.
That's true.
How many Jews you need to lift 100 tons?
Did they go?
I don't know.
It's tragic, like a larger.
Yeah, how many people you need to lift? And that's just one stone. Then you have to put another on top of it. It's crazy.
And how do they go up? How do they go up the hill to put the other one?
So there are so many things which kind of, to our limited perception, they shouldn't be there, but they are still there, like planets. They are floating in the sky. The other day I was reading in Bhagavad Gita. I mean, there are many explanations. One explanation, some time ago, we had this, how these planets are floating, and Prabhupada said by manipulation of the air. But in Bhagavad Gita, in purport, this recently, I mean, that was 15th chapter, maybe beginning of 16th. Prabhupada says that cosmic form of the Lord is holding planets in his palms. So, it's inconceivable. Sorry,
Subtle.
Yeah, it's kind of, yeah.
Using a wooden sled under reasonably lubricated ground would reduce the weight by 20 to 30%. So you'd be looking at approximately 400 to 1,000 workers for a 100-ton block under plausible conditions.
Have they found these slabs?
Probably not, but also the Bible doesn't say the Israelites were building pyramids. The Exodus described them as being subjected to forced labor and making bricks for the pharaohs.
Okay, so there are many of these things, but we want to hear. So original means accessing the original is through tradition, is through parampara, through proper source. Otherwise, people who have attitude, this soul mythology, are we going to get the proper understanding, proper interpretation from them? Soul mythology, God doesn't exist. All these fantastic stories, it's just tales. How can we properly, how can we develop our faith? That's why Avaishnavam Ukot Girnan Putam Hai Katanitam. Shravana Naiva Kartavyam Sarpo Chishtaya Tapaya. So milk is very nourishing informations about this world and beyond this world coming from the Vedas. They are nourishing, but if they are received from, you know, from snakes, from people who are not part of Parampara, who are not trained, who are not cultivating good qualities, who don't accept Krishna or don't accept the existence of God at all. You just cannot, you know, you can use you can use some, just like we did today, we can use some to break down etymology of the word Vayasti. It comes from Vyas. Just like Kaunteya comes from Kunti. So we can use that maybe, but we should, even if we use some informations from ChatGPT or whatever, it should be in the line of proper understanding of Srimad Bhagavatam, of Srila Prabhupada's teachings, of so all these things. Everything can be used in Krishna's service, but we should be careful not to misuse things which should be engaged in Krishna's service. Yeah. So and I believe this point of transcendental message coming from Shukadev, Sutta Goswami is powerful, penetrating, and useful. We immediately know what to do. That's one of the important aspects of Siddhanta. I learned this from His Holiness Ramapada. Siddhanta means conclusion. And before conclusion, there are different discussions, explanations, and yeah, kind of clearing doubts, establishing a doubt, what if this is not true and stuff. But then at one point, you come to a conclusion. And then even conclusion, it's can you summarize the conclusion? If you can summarize it so it becomes like crystal clear. While one of my friends, he's a nice devotee, I think, and but he likes to study all kinds of scriptures and books, and so once he told me, in our society, we always want to bring philosophy into practice, but philosophy, let it just be philosophy. Why do you want to kind of boil it down to, some practical things? Let's just keep it out there. Let it remain abstract and let it remain theoretical and, just let it float. But we can see that actually our discussions, our learning, discussing, argumenting, it should bring us to proper conclusion. And that conclusion should be summarized. Why? For the purpose of application. That's why those proverbs, pretty much in Vedic society, Vedic wisdom, they are very popular because they summarize, certain points, even in the West or anywhere else, because then it's very clear. Okay, this proverb perfectly fits with this situation. What would be an example of a good proverb which Prabhupada used or which we use in a daily life?
Simple living, high thinking.
Yeah, that's one.
So, should be happy.
So we shouldn't be just dull fools and just kind of be happy with small things. But actually, we should think high. We should try to elevate our consciousness and also simplify our life for that purpose. So these are some examples. And then any other comment? No,
What is the difficulty?
okay.
That's it. Offer it all to Krishna. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna.
Any folks wisdom proverb?
You never trust a woman or a politician.
Step on a crack, you break the mother's back.
What's that?
I don't know if it's a proverb. I think it's just say step on a crack, you break your mother's back. I think that's a superstition. I think.
As you sow, you shall reap.
There you go. As you do to others, it will come to you. So you will have to pay for it. So that's why you should be acting for the benefit of others, because you will derive benefit from that. So that's a win-win. It's a very nice proverb, and actually it's in the Bible. It's probably in all scriptures around the world. So it's like it becomes very clear how to apply that. That's why it will be interesting. Maybe we can think of when we read Bhagavad Gita, or when we like some nice verse or pointing purport, we can always think, okay, can I summarize this into a very short statement? What is it about? Can I give it a subtitle in my notebook? I'm personally, I don't like to write in the Bhagavatam text. Sometimes the word is very just not now. It becomes like sutra. Kautukarma, Prabhu, are you there?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, yes.
Hare Krishna. What should I do now? Now it's 7:47. Should I go to next verse also?
Yes, Prabhu.
Let's go to the question.
Oh, okay. We can go for questions, if I would suggest.
Okay, Prabhu.
So, okay. It's a short purport, so I kind of attempt of unpacking it is now over. So please ask questions or realizations we have to hear. Dr. Tim, please.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the wonderful class, Prabhu. Yeah, you mentioned that transcendental knowledge is powerful, penetrating, and useful. And I also want to add one more thing to that, is as pleasing, because in the verse it says pleasing, yes, pleasing to our minds.
What's the Sanskrit word? Mano anukula.
Mano anukula.
Mano anukula. Yeah.
Yes. And pleasing. And
thank you. That's a good point.
Yeah, because I got some experience going out for
yeah. If it's only powerful, if it's penetrating, if it's useful,
that can be frightening.
It sounds cruel. It reminds me of a dentist's tool. It's very powerful. It's penetrating, but you're afraid of it. But if something kind of is powerful, penetrating, useful, and it's pleasing, wow, everyone goes for it.
Yeah, and everyone does. Even for the experience in books, so often I try to offer Bhagavad Gita to people, and then I go over the 5 essential truths. You ask the person, you're familiar with karma, what goes around comes around. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. You're familiar with time. Yeah, okay, I could. That makes sense. Are you familiar with your body or with material nature? Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Consciousness. Yeah, and then the laws of nature or this absolute truth. Yeah. So it's like Krishna says in 7.2, Jnanam teham savijnayam, Jnanam teham savijnayam, idam vakshmesheshatata, yajnataneho bhuyo jnanatavayam avashishate. That its knowledge is both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. And anyway, I was saying that it gives me pleasure too when you make those kinds of connections, explaining this, powerful and knowledge to people on the streets, and they start to get it, and then they become attracted to it, and both the speaker and the listener are attracted.
Yeah.
That's all.
It's not just selling books, but also kind of showing to them that it's useful and it's pleasing, it's nice.
Yes, and you can relate to it.
You already know some of it.
Yeah, it's already there.
I was just thinking of the elements which make a message powerful. Specifically thinking of this verse from the 10th canto, which I've honestly been thinking about recently, mostly because I'm reading the 10th canto. But this verse, Nivrita Cheshner, Upagiyamana, Bhavao Sadachchodra Manobi Rama, Uttama Shloka Gunanuvada, Umam Virajeta Vinapa Subina. That a message which is received from that which is Nivrita Cheshner, when it's spoken from someone who's free from material desires, it's explained in the commentary, Nivrita Trishna. And when that's received, when that message becomes aushadhi, a type of medicine for our material contamination. So I was thinking that it's not that you just hear from anyone, as you were saying, of Vaishnava Makogi or none, but the message has to be heard in such a way that it's actually medicinal. And what makes it medicinal is when you hear from someone who has no vested interest in this world. They're just simply speaking for the purpose of elevating others without any type of desires for name, fame, recognition.
Pure intention.
Yeah, pure intention. And that really has an effect. You can see when someone's speaking sincerely from that platform, people become attracted to it.
Thank you.
You can just speak and I think it'll catch you.
You were talking about how there's interpretations. It was the field we're talking about, but they were saying there's different interpretations. So what's the difference between your interpretation and other interpretation? That was a non-interpretation. This is explanation. Bhagavad Gita is an explanation of the verse, non-interpretation. Will not change in.
Yes, but confirm that.
Yeah, also I was reading in Transcendental Diary when Prabhupada went to this Gita Pratishtana, like discussions with like the followers of Gandhi. He said in one argument, he said like interpretation means you don't know. Talking about all these other interpretations. So therefore we give explanations.
Very good. Thank you. Anything from East Coast or Texas? Central.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, I have a question from the word to word. Anga is translated to Suta Goswami.
What did you say?
Anga is translated to Suta Goswami.
Okay. Who says that?
In this text, word to word meaning.
Rishis say Anga.
Yeah, Shaunaka is speaking to Suta Goswami.
Yeah. Okay.
So I wanted to understand about what does it mean. What does Anga mean? Anga normally means a limb.
You know better than me. What do you ask?
So I don't know so much, but I was checking online on etymology because you asked for Vyasaki. So I searched Veda base for Anga. Anga is used by many devotees to address somebody who is subordinate. For example, Narad Muni calls Vyasdev Anga, or somebody who's a dear one. But I was thinking, is it appropriate for Shaunaka to call Suta Goswami Anga? Is it in the sense of subordination? What is the relationship between Shaunaka and Suta that he is calling him Anga?
I don't know, it's not there. It's difficult. Sometimes I notice that superiors, they call inferiors Vatsa, which basically it means calf. But it means my dear boy. Sometimes Prabhupada translates like that. So, you know.
What was Siddhi Goswami's father's name?
Ramaharshan.
Ramaharshan.
Yeah.
So he's a limb, he's the son, so it's also maybe like.
Yeah, Vijay Prabhu made a good point. Because Suta Goswami is the son of Ramaharshan. So it can mean Ramaharshan as Anga, means the son, expansion. You know, so like that. But most probably it's showing some kind of affection, I think. That's how it looks to me.
Yes, Prabhu. It makes more sense because Ram Harshan was originally going to speak, as far as I understand, and it seems that Ram Harshan and Shaunaka would be contemporaries. So Suta must be younger to Shaunaka. So in that sense,
That's
in
also
that sense,
possible.
yeah.
That's also possible because Shukadeva Goswami, he was younger to pretty much all sages there, and still he was authority to speak. So it could be similar.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
But we don't know. You know, this all could be. Don't quote me. It could be.
Okay.
Okay, we can stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Yeah. इसके सुवर्ण बिंदु प्रभु की जय. हरि बोल. हरि बोल. हरि बोल. हरि बोल.
Thank you, dear devotees, for joining. Wonderful Krishna conscious day. Good luck on book distribution. Kapta Karnavadas and Adinath Krishna Das. All the best. Hare Krishna.
हरि बोल.